So yeah, this one's a good one. I'm here in Loring Park to tell you the story today, obviously. But yeah, my inclusion, my foray into real estate is just such a weird, winding tale. It's the reason like I kind of have to tell it in chunks because there's a lot of life lived in those 13 years, but the origin's bizarre. So when I graduated college, I moved back in 2006, and every realtor hates giving out those numbers, but whatever, we're here. I didn't really know what to do. You know, the economy was at an all-time high. We were just a couple years away, obviously, from the recession. So I didn't really know where I wanted to go, but I knew that I wanted to take what I knew with business and merge it with my background in Spanish. So I ended up working as a banker at US Bank. It's a branch that's now closed in Burnsville, probably because there are way too many bees. But it was really kind of like this hybrid role where I would be a banker. I would also then work with our Hispanic clientele to produce checking accounts and mortgages and things of that nature. I'll never forget, there was a Ryan Yardley. He owned a title company at the time. He's now in mortgages. And I remember there's just one day this guy comes through and I'm on the phone with an Ecuadorian client. And this dude just comes out. I mean, he's like blinged out. He's got like the Rolex and the thing on his wrist, and he's got the necklace, and he's, always in there depositing like 6-figure checks. He comes up and I was like, who's this prick? Like, what do you want? And he was asking for my business card while I'm on the phone. So I'm like, okay. He's like, thanks. Walks out. So hang up, look at my coworker when the calls. I'm like, what the hell was that? 30 seconds later, the phone rings, and it's him. And he goes, hey, I'm sorry. That's not how I normally treat people. I didn't expect to see you speaking Spanish, and I was in a rush, but I own Signature Title, and we're looking for somebody to be a liaison for international expansion. And I was like, I have no clue what any of that meant, but it sounded really cool. So like, I go to meet with the guy, we go have some lunch. He's got like the Amex Black card. It makes a huge clink when it hits the table. I'm like, all right, this seems somewhat legit, at least for my young brain and my perception of, reality. But come to find out, we had originally had Countrywide Mortgage, big name at the time. Unfortunately, after the crash, they're no longer involved. But we had some really big names that were pledged to a land development project in San Jose, Costa Rica. And essentially what I was going to be recruited to do at 22, 23 years old was to go down there, live in a multi-million-dollar mansion with one of his contacts on the beach, and basically get paid to be the go-between for American buyers that are building and the San Jose and the Costa Rican developers. It was beyond a dream job. And this was probably about the end of 2007 that this was all happening. We had contracts signed, we had things ready, and then right as it was about to go live, the subprime market crashed. And so that killed that, and I wasn't really sure what to do, but I knew I didn't want to be in banking anymore. So I sort of bounced around for most of 2008 while the world was on fire. As I got better though, he came to me back in 2009 with Chris Rooney, who's now with like Andy Prasky of the WCCO Real Estate Radio Hour. They back then had, basically it was just Rooney and Ryan, had created something called the Preferred Home Team. And he's like, look, I don't know if or when we're ever gonna go back to Costa Rica, but get your license, perform in a team, and I think you could do really well as a realtor. And so it was definitely a crash course of humble beginnings when you join during the worst real estate market in history and an economic crisis in your country. I would oftentimes get laughed at. I remember one time I went out and approached a girl at a bar and she asked what I did. I said I was a realtor and she just walked away. At least that's what I'm hoping my ego remembers. I hope it was just related to that time in my vocation. But yeah, I'd love to say it all worked out. The story continues, but that's definitely the humblest of beginnings that I came from getting into it.